My buddy Mike Trey is here, and I have a story about Led Zeppelin, and it's a similar kind of thing that when Led Zeppelin 1 and 2 came out, those are my records. When I was going to buy anything new, I would use those as my test records when I would go to stores to audition equipment. I'm sure I'm not the only one. But over time, I came to realize that Led Zeppelin 1 and 2 were not great recordings. They're extremely compressed. They're dirty sounding in places where they're not supposed to sound dirty. They're not, in that sense, audiophile recordings. I love them for the music. I love them for what they changed in music. And then my original copies of 1 and 2 somehow disappeared. I don't know where they went. And I was in a null in terms of Led Zeppelin. So in 1990, when they remastered them, and there was this box set with the orange cover with the cloud, with the crop circles, I bought that, and I said, I'm good with just listening to the CDs of Led Zeppelin. And then I wasn't. And I wanted to buy, a first pressing, an early pressing of Led Zeppelin 1 and 2, and I looked around and I saw that they were really expensive, $200-300. And it's not that I couldn't afford that, I just didn't want to. I just resisted that. So I didn't, and I continued listening to CDs. And then in 2014, there was another remaster, both of them, by the way, supervised by Jimmy Page. And I bought the 2014 LP, and it was okay. It just didn't, it was lacking something. I didn't know what it was, but I just, who cares kind of thing. I was just playing the CDs. And then years are passing, and it's starting to really bug me about this Led Zeppelin thing. So my buddy Mike, wherever he is, he gave me, because he had a lot of copies, Led Zeppelin 2. Not a first pressing, but a recently early pressing. And that's the one, that's the one that stuck. But it wasn't the best sounding one. In other words, how do you assess the best sounding of a really pretty crappy sounding recording? It's like you're juggling different shades of awful. Yes, discerning better and different is not so easy, even for professionals. Oops. I'm so far ahead of my script that I have to turn many pages here. Is everybody awake? Oh, okay, good. I thought I was lulling you guys to sleep. That would be terrible. I don't know if you understand, when I'm doing a review, I think I approach reviews in a different way than a lot of other reviewers, really great reviewers. I'm not doing a scientific report. I'm certainly not doing measurements. I'm giving you, in my videos and when I was writing for a living, I'm giving you my impressions of the product for the time that I had it. And unfortunately, a lot of the time I don't have obvious products around that I can compare one speaker to another. I have what I have. So it really comes down to what went down during that review. And it may have worked out, it may have not worked out, and I do my best, because that's the focus when I'm working on a review, is obviously listening to the product, taking notes, learning about it, usually interviewing the designer, and all that goes into it, and that's it. But it's like I'm doing, like I'm in junior high school. I'm writing a term paper. I'm writing a report. This what I did on my summer vacation. I reviewed this speaker. That's it. And then many other speakers follow. Many other products follow. I probably reviewed thousands in all the years I've been doing this. So I don't remember most of them, but some of them jump out. And it's like I was telling Roy Delgado from Klipsch this morning that Klipsch loaned me the Cornwall 4s that I had, and I had those for 3 years, and then it was just time for them to go, and they went back to Klipsch. But I still think about those speakers. Many speakers have come and gone since then, but those really stuck around. And a lot of Magnapan impressions stick around. But a lot of them, it's not that they're not good or great, but there's just so many of them, I can't keep track. So when, I'm not saying any of you, but when people say, hey Steve, you reviewed that speaker 12 years ago, and how does it compare to this speaker? It's like, I don't know. I have no idea. Not even close. I wouldn't hazard a guess. If you guys know about my biggest blunder, my biggest regret in audio. it was in the 80s, a long time ago. I haven't done any blunders as bad as this. I bought an electrostatic speaker. That's blunder number one. But it was not a quad. It was a Harold Beverage speaker. It was a Beverage Model 5. It was a cylindrical electrostatic speaker. I mean, the panel inside the cylinder was flat, but the enclosure, the cabinet, was a cylinder. And it had a lens in the front, and it was 5 feet tall, and the panel was the whole height of the speaker. And I was a salesman, and I sold these speakers, and I liked Harold as a person, and I was intrigued, like, yeah, I should get into an electrostatic speaker. So I buy the speaker, and I would say buyer's regret set in relatively quickly. You know, and it was just like, I don't know, I was having I don't know. Anyway, I was not happy. And I kept trying different things and moving them around and using different electronics and all that stuff, and it wasn't going to work. And I was desperate to sell them. Now, I believe, I should have looked up the price, but I think they were $5,000. So they were really expensive speakers for the time, but I bought them for half price because I was on accommodation, because I sold them. Anyway, I wanted to sell these things. I desperately wanted to sell these speakers. In that time period, there weren't that many ways to do that. So I put an ad in the New York Times, in the classified, which was probably the best way. And nobody responded to the ad. And it was, for the time, an expensive ad. So I was really disappointed, obviously. So I waited a couple of weeks. I put an ad in again. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So at that point, I reached out to a store in New York City, Stereo Exchange, that then was, I think, mostly selling vintage or traded-in equipment. And I called up the owner, Dave Wasserman. I told him my plight. I said, would you take these speakers? And he said, no. He knew. He said no. He said no because he already had a pair. So he really knew. And I said, oh man, okay. So I'm back, I'm using my connections. Nobody was interested in this speaker. And it was in the way, you know, it's like I needed it to go away. So I called Dave Wasserman back and I said, I'll take anything, just get these things out of my life. And he said, okay, I'll give you $500. Now mind you, I probably paid $2,500. I said, okay, great, deal, send somebody over, right? He sent somebody over, took the speakers away. And it was one of the happiest days of my life, is getting rid of those speakers. But the end of the story is even better. So Wasserman calls me a couple of weeks later, and he said, I just want to let you know I sold you the speaker. I said, fantastic. And he said, not only that, I sold the other speaker. So he had two pair, right? He said, I sold them both to the same guy. The guy walked in and he said, do you have a Beverage 5 speakers? He said, yeah, I got it. So he's as he's writing them up, the guy says, oh, this is great, because I'm going to put him in a quadraphonic system. He was into surround sound. And Dave says, oh, wait, you can use these in a quad system? You should really have the same speakers in the front and the back. And I just happen to have another pair of Beverage 5s right here. So he sold them both like that. That was pretty cool. That was definitely something else. So,
how much did he get?
You know, I'm a gentleman. I didn't ask that question. I should ask him now, actually. That would be interesting.
Steve, we got 15 if you want to get into questions.
I just want to talk about two quick things then. Okay? These are quickies. So, in terms of tips, I have two tips for you. If you have big speakers, consider casters so you can roll them around. When I got the Klipsch OJazz speakers to review, I requested casters. And it's the most amazing thing. It's so easy to wheels. It's a thing, you know, it's really, really good. And every time I change, because I'm changing stuff around all the time, I change an amplifier, I tweak the position. It's so easy to do. I just push my finger and it moves just on air. It's fantastic. The other, which is an even less expensive tweak, it's probably the ultimate tweak, and that is gummies. Gummies make it sound so much better. The worst sounding recordings sound amazing. And I just like, it was incredible. So And I'm thinking like a reviewer, right? I'm thinking, wow, it's so much more transparent, and the imaging is deeper, and the bass is just, you can feel it. Amazing. So don't go crazy with it, you know, but how's that?
I think you could do a brand name and do well with it.
Okay. Bill Lieben suggested I sell a brand, my own branded Audiophiliac gummies. Could be a thing. Stay tuned.
You ready?
All right.
Well, let's get this out of the way. How has fame changed you?
How has fame changed me? This is I didn't have this before I was famous. All those years of writing, I didn't see all these people coming to look at me. That's a big one. No, I love being famous in the audio world. It's a beautiful thing. And when people ask for selfies and stuff, I'm happy to oblige. I'm not one of those snobs like, get away from me. No. Selfies are nice. Is that it?
That's all it's
That's all you got?
No.
Oh, how it changed me. I'm happier. I'm a happier person being famous. I like being famous.
Are audiophiles aging out?
By the looks of you, no. And me, no. Aging out. Well, here's the thing. I think I appreciate music more than ever. And hearing acuity, because that's what that implies, right? If you don't hear as well, why would you be interested in having a good system?
No, they're implying they're dying.
Dying? Oh, you mean they're going away?
Yes.
They're going underground.
Literally, yes.
Yeah.
Or on the altar.
Well, yeah, I guess so. But there's enough of us left. We're the baby boomer generation. There's lots of us. So as they fade away, there are some younger people coming along. I know that. Some of you are here. So we're not aging out. It's good.
What reviewers do you read or watch besides Herb?
I thought you would say besides myself. So what reviewers do I read or watch?
Besides Herb.
Well, I read Michael Trey, my friend. I like Herb Reichert, obviously. I think Herb Reichert is the best audiophile writer, certainly now. I was going to say of all time. I'll hold back a little bit. I think Herb is just in another level, you know, absolutely. Art Dudley was absolutely a treat to read. He was just so good. It didn't even matter what he was, the product that he was reviewing. Just his words on the page were just so beautiful. And Harry Pearson definitely was a biggie for me. I mean, I didn't always trust his opinion, but I thought in terms of creating the vocabulary, he was incredible. But in terms of people now, and in YouTube channels, I really do like John Darko. Some people think that John Darko and I don't get along. We get along just great. Oh, and I also really like Ken McCaleb, who writes for Stereophile. He's a friend. He's part of my inner circle, along with Mike and Herb, of course. But yeah, there's a lot of good people. And Jay in Canada, Yayagi, I never can pronounce his name. Anyway, that young guy in Canada is amazing. He is an incredible presence on YouTube because he's so young, so he's going to reach a different demographic. And his experience for someone his age, he's worked at a store, Audio Excellence, in I think it's Toronto. Yep. So he's done installations, he's done setups, he told me he owned 50 or 60 pairs of speakers by the time he was 25 years old. So he is, I take my hat off to him.
Do your neighbors ever complain about the sound coming from your apartment? If so, how do you deal with it?
Well, let me put it this way. Before where I live now, I lived in this building in Manhattan that was very, 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 very solid. You couldn't hang a picture on the wall. It was like a prison or something. Incredible construction. And when I was younger, whenever I moved, I would introduce myself to I always lived in apartment buildings, the people around me, on either side of me, over me, under me, and I'd say, Don't get mad. When you ask me to turn it down, I will always turn it down. And here's my telephone number, call me. And that, I don't think I ever got a call when I lived in that other place in Manhattan. Got another one?
Oh, is that it?
Oh.
How would you define transparency?
How would I define transparency? Well,
Do you care?
I do care. It's just not at the top of my list. But to me, and I don't think there is I think everybody comes up with their own. But my definition of transparency is when you're listening to a recording, you can have the sense that you're listening through your speakers back through time, and you're hearing exactly what went down at the session. It's like there's nothing in between the people making the music and you hearing it. The closer you get to that sense that there's nothing separating you from them, which is obviously impossible, but that sense of how close you can get to it, that's what transparency means to me. And when I had those LRS Pluses, they were massively transparent speakers. And it is a thrill to think about that, to listen to them thinking that way. But it's not the most important thing on my list. So currently I don't have a speaker that is anywhere as transparent as that. But anyway, that's my definition. That's how I feel about it.
Plus the Maggies you could actually see through.
No, those are Martin Logans. Those are CLSs.
All right. This is probably a little cosmic, and if so, we'll just go on.
Okay.
In a show you said, recordings and playback cannot, do not, and will not approach the real thing. Can you explain? Keep it brief.
Is that an exact quote?
Yeah.
Can recordings reproduce and sound like the real thing? Well, of course they can't, because there's a lot of limitations in making recordings.
Okay. That's your answer.
That's it. All right, you're cutting me off. I didn't realize you were that sensitive. Sorry. Moving on, okay.
This is similar actually, what are your favorite terms used to describe equipment you review?
Okay, what terms do I use to describe things sounding good, equipment sounding good? I do talk about transparency. It's not my thing. The thing I'm personally looking for is dynamics. I'm really into hearing sound that gets you some of the way there. Because after all, when you're here at a concert, there's a good chance you're hearing horn speakers. So horns are extremely dynamic. Movie theaters usually have horn speakers behind the screen. And we are so used to hearing live sound, not of acoustic music, unless you listen to classical music or you're in a small jazz club. You're hearing music through a PA system. And horn speakers can reproduce the sound of a horn PA system more closely than other types of speakers can. But I think we may get there to hear music at home that sounds just like it did when it was created. But I think we're actually a long ways from that. But it doesn't matter, because what we have in terms of this connection, certainly for me, between hearing a recording and feeling it, I should have emphasized that word more. How you feel when you hear the music. Are you intellectually stimulated? Do you feel it in your body? Do you want to dance? Do you want to just feel that music? It doesn't have to be a perfect recreation of what went down in the session or the concert. But if it moves you, that's the most important thing.
In 30 seconds or less, do cables make a difference?
Do cables make a difference? Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. How much money they cost? That's a different question.
Right.
Are they worth it? To the people who buy them, yes. To the people who don't, no.
Very good. Again, 30 seconds or less. Can a YouTube channel be profitable? I'm assuming the answer is yes.
Can't you tell? Of course it's profitable. Oh, the question was, can a YouTube channel be profitable? Yes. Look at me.
Style and Steve.
Yeah. He's my editor.
This is probably the last one.
Okay. It better be good then, if this is the last question.
Never mind. Sorry.
Reject.
We did that. Wow. We actually got through quite a few.
Good.
How many years did you sell hi-fi?
how many years did I sell hi-fi? I sold hi-fi for, I'm not sure, 16 or 17 years in 2 different stores in New York City, Sound by Singer most of the time, and a brief foray to Innovative Audio in Brooklyn. But I know Elliot Fishkin, who owns Innovative Audio, longer than I knew Andy Singer, because I actually go further back with Elliot. But Andy and I were just a better match. I mean, Andy changed my life, because when I met Andy and started selling hi-fi and became aware of this industry and all that, rather than just reading about it or even seeing gear in stores, it was just incredible. It started in 1978 when this whole industry was blowing up, as they say. And I was in the front row seat to take in all this incredible stuff and meet all these amazing designers and other entrepreneurs and writers and meet the people that were buying the thing. So I couldn't have been in a better place. It takes a long time to read that one. Too long, it's just reading it forever.
Too long. 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
What makes an audiophile?
Oh, that's easy. I have, and I really mean this, I'm not joking around. To me, anyone who listens without multitasking is an audiophile. It's not the gear that makes you an audiophile, it's the person listening. And if you're listening, there's a chance, circumstances permitting, that you would want it to make your listening experiences better and you would buy better electronics. But it isn't the person who has a $10,000 system doesn't have a 10 times better experience than the guy with the $1,000 system. It's not gradations. It's like pregnant. Either you are or you're not. So if you can listen intently, and whether you like that word, because there are lots of audiophiles in denial who don't want to be called audiophiles, I respect your choice. But to me, if I'm the judge, if you listen without multitasking, you are an audiophile.
That's a good answer, and we're out of time.
Perfect. Thank you. This was fun. Thank you so much for coming. You can make a line for selfies.